Hello, are you tired of grinding? If you're not tired of grinding, let me show you what you can do with the guns you get. But before I show you the corrupted guns, let me show you one of my builds that is possible because of the new update. Now, I'll just say it once again. It doesn't matter what build you make, it will be nerfed, it will be changed, so you might as well just enjoy it for a few days or maybe a week or two, because once the DLC is released, it will be changed. So, what does this mean? Well, since they modified Engineer archetype to give you range damage, and as you can see now improves the skill damage 50%. Anyway, they changed it in such a way where it actually is very beneficial for you to have the gunslinger quick draw. Because I think they also changed this somewhat. As you can see, if you have a build like this with the engineer and the gunslinger and the legacy protocol, burden of the socialist, destroyer, rebel, and stargazer, but also there is a catch to this. You have skill damage and skill cooldown, right? Right. But instead of health, you can actually choose the weak spot damage because it actually works. It increases your weak spot damage by quite a bit. So, 5700 and it's 8 seconds cooldown. You might be thinking, well, that's not a lot, is it? Yeah, but you have 2 charges, it's this much damage, plus you also have the damage of the engineer Vulcan turret, which is a lot of damage, plus it's easy to replenish the ammo right now, so you can basically kill a boss without any guns. If you have any guns equipped, it will be much easier, but even as it is, you can do a lot of stuff. Regarding the armor situation, yeah, you can get the armor, but I didn't want to bother with a strong back at adding various bits of armors to do math. I don't like it. So you can press it once, or you can press and hold it. You do 5400, just in case you want to keep the health. Instead of the weak spot damage, you do 400 less weak spot damage on the dummy over here. I guess it depends on everyone what they like. Also, let me show you the other builds and then we'll fight the boss. I don't really have a lot of time to invest in the game since this is not really new content. It's just another way to play the game. It's not even about new builds. So I'll show you all of the builds in the firing range over here and then we'll show them on the boss. Now, this is probably the most contradictory gun in the game currently. It can be amazing or it can be total trash. Also, I'll be reusing the rune heart, energized neck coil, order of socialist, ring of death, follower, malevolence, and of course this one. Now, what is the problem with this gun? The problem is you'll need to hit weak spot, otherwise you cannot activate the special ability of the gun. And you can activate this 3 times at the same time if you have enough mod power and if everything works very well. But from what I can see, this doesn't work anymore. It seems like it's bugged. As you can see, it's no longer triggering weak spot damage. So if you have a boss or an enemy that doesn't have a weak spot, you'll not be able to use the mod power of this gun, which is crazy because it seems like it's such a bad idea and it's such a good idea at the same time. So 6 of them, and you don't even get to see how many wisps you have on the target before you detonate them. So if the target has a big weak spot, you can do this 3 times and it will be amazing because you'll get more and more DPS with the way this works, again with other stuff as well. But other than that, it will be trash tier if you cannot hit anything that is a weak point. I'm not sure what happened to the board mod, but I don't really have enough time to explore it. So this is probably the worst gun of the 5, or the best, depends on what you're fighting. Go to the next one. We have the minigun build over here. Oh no, it's the corrupted arbalest. Now this is a bit of a tricky build to pull off. As you can see, we have the mod power over here, just because I want to be able to generate a lot of mod power. Same for the other situation, but you can just replace it with anything else. Detonation trigger, ring of death, cinch ring, socialist, and alumni ring. Again, you might want to modify this a little bit. I usually am a lot more careful when making these builds, but for now, it's just not worth it to invest a lot of hours since it's not really new content. So what is the deal with this thing? Well, this is the normal fire rate, right? Right. So let's apply that. I don't know why I summoned that minion. So this is what I'm talking about. It looks cool, right? And this is also the load speed. That's a lot of damage. Now, I've seen some people just simply hit the weak spot damage on the dummy and say, wow, this gun does 4000 damage. No, it doesn't do that much damage. It's just how the game works. You're supposed to believe it does a lot of damage, but in reality, when you play with it, it's not so good. So yeah, this is more or less like a rocket launcher or grenade launcher that can fire very fast and can hit a lot of enemies. But this is mostly for crowd clearing and control. You might be able to finish the game with it on Apocalypse, but that doesn't mean it's a good one. So yeah, it's mostly for fun. It's a fun build to use, it's a fun gun to use, but I think they have fixed the Arbalest. It's actually usable now, but it's nowhere as good as it could be. Okay, over here we have the main dish of the evening. We have the main course. We have the best weapon in probably the game, I would say right now. Again, it depends on how you build it, on how you like it, but as you know, I have a very fun build regarding the crit rate. And if you know how this gun works, you have probably seen a lot of people do it like this. But if you do it like this, you need to wait a lot of time. So you need to wait, you click, you fire, and then you need to aim it continuously. So it will actually take a while to fire. But there is a catch. Of course, the normal damage stuff. Bullet Storm plus Hunter's Focus. Basically, you can remove this if you want to do weak spot damage as well. And I also added the rerouting cable just because you have a lot of damage, but not a lot of survivability. There's a big catch to this build over here, because if you are running it at full speed, meaning full mod power, it will actually fire faster and faster. So let's do that. I'm not sure what the current fire rate is, but as you can see it's pretty high, plus all of the crits. This is level 5, tier 5. You may be thinking, wow, that's crazy. No, it's not crazy, this will be crazy. Actually, it's a lot more DPS than that. I don't know, it seems like this DPS calculation is bugged most of the times. Look at the reload rate and the fire rate. This is madness. It's so good, I like it a lot. It's one of the best builds of the game currently, and it's very fun to play as well. Okay, let's get to the next one. The cube gun. The cube gun is still an ugly beast. It's not fun, it's not usable, it's not interesting. I have a build that makes it more or less usable, but at the same time you see its limitations, because the main skill is kind of like a buff for anyone that uses a hit generating weapon, which is the plasma cutter or the machine gun, or this weapon on its own, but it's not that good, so I don't understand why someone would use it. Because look, over here I have the micro compressor, probability cord, burden of a gambler, atonement, and this is kind of like the max DPS I could squeeze out of it. Now the problem is you cannot fire it since it needs to charge. It's not on automatic because you need a charge for it, see? You cannot fire it directly. So even if you put down the thing, you'll still have a problem. Good luck seeing what's in front of you. I don't know how this stuff gets away from the testers. Okay, let's forget about that. The developers don't even test 90% of this stuff. They have basically gamers who test all of this stuff for them, and then they just ignore the feedback, or they just don't want to deal with the stress of modifying stuff. Yeah, this will never be a good gun, but at least now it's usable. It's actually very fun to play with it on lower difficulties because of the way this works. So you basically will be critting all over the place. You can make a conga line of enemies and just kill all of them at the same time. It's infinite ammo, so it has some uses, but it's not a main weapon. Okay, now let's come to the best, I don't know, the most fun you can have with the weapons, the new weapons. Now, this might be a secondary weapon, but it's actually more related to a primary weapon and a primary build these days. The thing is, I think the developers made a few mistakes over here as well. They shouldn't have given you so many bolts. So when you hit someone with a bolt, you can also summon a spirit that will deal a lot of damage. But because of the way the game works, that's a lot of spirit. So 6 seconds, 10 bolts. So 10 bolts is 5000 damage. And how do you calculate that? Well, you cannot really calculate that, but let me show you what I mean. If for a few seconds you'll be doing a lot of damage, massive amount of damage. Plus with this thing you can also get more crit chance, so it's kind of amazing how the developers can mess up certain things to the point where they seem broken. Very easy to use, very fun to use again. You will need to use the rune heart for most of the things, and you also get a free buff over here, plus the buff you get as the damage. Anyway, you understand what the idea is. You'll be getting a lot of buffs from a lot of different things. Also like using the energy diverter just because of the crit chance, ring of infinite damage, socialist, court, and of course all of this now. Okay, now it's time to test all of the builds against the boss. Okay, let's use the first gun. By the way, there's a problem with the game. Remember that some guns or certain shots will not be able to penetrate or destroy stuff, and I think this is the problem over here. As you can see, that's not counting, or is, well, I guess it's not counting all the time. So definitely there are some things that are a little bit broken now. Yeah, it's so hard to make this build work because you have to watch basically three things: your ammo count, how many weak spot you hit, then what is your cooldown, then use also the rune heart in case you want to have more stuff. Yeah, good luck using this build. That I don't like it. Maybe some people have other uses for this. I don't like it. I think it's a weird gun right now. I just like the other Nebula that has its uses as a secondary weapon. I'm not going to try and make a build that works for every gun because some guns are just not that good, and I'm not going to impress anyone over here. So yeah. Let's go to the fun stuff. I really want to showcase more of the fun stuff this time around because the game is losing a lot of its popularity anyway, and many people are not playing it. Okay, this is the fun build that actually I enjoy playing. Now let's play with a build that is actually fun to do. Now when I played, I actually noticed that sometimes it's hard to activate the skill. So that's basically at a very long range. And sometimes you can skip the animation, sometimes you cannot skip it, so I don't know what's up with that. Yeah, weak spot. You're a real gunslinger now. I guess let's see what... Oh yeah, you killed that guy with only one shot from that. Nice. And as you're running around the boss, you can simply use your relic to restore some ammunition to the thing. From what I tested, it's more or less the same amount of damage if you shoot at like a big damage or just like, you know, like this. Using all of the shots. I thought I had that one. So when you have the turret offline, just use a heart. And that will refill basically the entire amount of ammunition. It's not going to get me. See, it does a lot of damage and it's actually decent. Plus you don't have to worry about reloading or other things. Yeah, let's go to the next one. Now I wanted to die over here because I want to test the next build. So that was basically a very fun build and a build that is not fun at all. First, like I said, you can have other builds, but it's just not good enough. If it's not decent enough, I'll not really try and make it look decent. Now this is the fun build as well. So you have the basically the minigun, and now you have this thing over here, which is more like a rocket or a grenade launcher. Remember to buff a little bit. So this is the normal fire rate. The explosions. By the way, you have to play with Gunslinger, otherwise you have about 35 shots or something like that. So if you don't play with the Gunslinger, you will not have enough ammo to shoot at the enemies, which will quickly become very annoying. Yeah, this thing is so nice. Yeah, it can be used as a main build, of course. You can also hit the weak spot damage, but I think it's hitting the boss 2 times, or maybe even 3 times. Once is for the normal damage and the other time is for the explosion. But look at how much it loses. Yeah, look at that health drop. problem is again the limited ammunition. Without the gunslinger this will not really work. As you can see, you have to prep it a little bit, and that's why I don't like it that much. Oh yeah, see how much you can deal when it's with the corrosion and all of the other stuff. You can almost kill a boss with a magazine. Or not a magazine, a full load of ammo, full stock of ammo. Okay, let's go to the next build. Yeah, scream all you want. We'll be going to the next build. I know you like this one better. Yeah, I don't know. Remnant is not just as fun as it was in the beginning. Looks like I'm also having some problems with the performance with this patch already. Now, one more thing about this build over here, you can kill yourself, definitely you can kill yourself with that, so make sure you don't take, you know, amplitude, and if you take it, that's a whole nother build. It's like you're going to run a rocket launcher instead of the grenade launcher. Oh no, the cube gun. Oh no, do I really have to do this? Yes, I have to do this. It's going to be painful. Okay. Breathe in, breathe out, it will be okay. I don't know what the developers are thinking. It seems like they're trying to make some guns worse sometimes. That's a normal enemy over there. Cell, you just have to guess how many hits it needs. But on the bright side, this seems to hit the weak spot as well. So if you shoot at an enemy and the enemy has a weak spot in the general direction of the cube, you'll actually hit it. But yeah, it's so hard to calculate the damage. Also, see, it takes almost a full second to fire after you press the fire button. Basically does no damage, it's like I'm tickling the boss. But against normal enemies it is very good. Also, as you can see, I'm putting down the thing, but then I just have to go out of it. Yeah, it's just not fun because of all of the reasons I mentioned. I guess this is somewhat fun. Okay, next build and final build, and this will actually be one of the more fun ones, because this build is actually usable and playable in most situations. You know, the minigun can have some certain situations where it's not good, but this one will be mostly good around everything. Sorry if I'm not showing the builds as I should be doing, but I just don't have enough time to make, let's say, to play another 5 hours, because it takes a long time to get the corrupted shards, it takes a long time to test the guns, it takes a lot of time to read everything, it takes a lot of time to remember all of the things you need to get back into the game. So make sure you shoot all of them. Make sure you have the shield activated. Oh yeah, they didn't want to fire. Okay, so now we are ready. So you have to kind of sequence it. So as you can see, you have to fire the things, and then you have to have the mod power to shoot the things. So it can get a little tricky, but it's very rewarding, to be honest. Especially after you figure out the movement and the momentum. Now, sometimes you'll get stuck just firing the thing. And if you can get a lot of crits going, that will be amazing. So that's a lot of damage. You don't even feel like you're dealing a lot of damage, but oh, you are dealing so much of it. that was fun. Anyway, that's all of the things I wanted to show you. See you next time. Bye bye.